Hey everybody, Doug Raible here. Today what I want to talk about is finding opportunities. I know it's a tough time for everybody, especially business owners, but people are still looking to invest and find opportunities in any situation and any market. And today what I'm going to be talking about is how you could still find investment options even during a shutdown. So we've all seen the chaos, right? The market going up and down, real estate market frozen. In some states like mine in Pennsylvania, it's almost impossible to get any transactions done. The lending market has been frozen as well, as banks seem to be really cutting down on what they're financing, especially for businesses, as so many of us have stopped payments due to loan modifications on properties, or businesses that are struggling to pay their bills or any of their loans back. So banks have been hedging their risk on what they're financing as well. So before I go into any investment options, please consult an advisor or your CPA before taking any action. This is not any investment advice, as everyone's situation is different, just personal opinion and some things that I intend to be doing with my investments. So the first is I've been focusing on the financial markets. Obviously with the huge correction in the stock market, there's been so many discounts on incredible companies that people have just been selling out of fear. Now the difference between what I was focusing on maybe 3 to 6 months ago and now is I was focusing mostly on low cost funds just to invest in the market as a whole, as it was really hard to find good opportunities with individual companies and the economy was so strong here in America. Now I've shifted because there's a lot of industries that are absolutely crushed, and honestly I don't know how quickly they're gonna come back, if some will come back at all. There's a huge secular change right now on where money is flowing and what businesses are doing well. So I no longer want a piece of all of American companies. I just want a piece of individual businesses. So what I'm focusing on is buying individual stocks, and the types of companies I'm looking at is businesses that have really strong financials, meaning that their balance sheet is strong. What that essentially is saying is their assets, meaning what do they own, versus their liabilities, what they owe. And I want to ensure that they have a ton of cash, a ton of assets, that they can easily manage their debts and their liabilities moving forward. And focusing on companies that also produce a good or service that is of use now during the virus and the shutdown, as well as post-COVID-19. A lot of companies unfortunately just aren't going to make it through this, whether because they're forced to shut down, if they were over leveraged before, if their good or service is no longer in high demand. I mean, people are not flying right now. People are not trying to go on trips. People are not going into hotels and Airbnbs. It's just the unfortunate truth. Restaurants are shut down. And I have no idea when the consumer mindset is going to change to where they will feel comfortable doing those things. So I'm not willing to personally take any bets on them. Sure, if you're a high-risk investor, there might be great opportunities there, but I'm personally looking for long-term investments and businesses that I can own for, years or decades to come. The other thing that we've seen a continued shift in is technology. It is totally evident at this point that technology is here to stay. I think this was a test to see how well we would do with use of technology. And honestly, it's passed with flying colors. I mean, there's massive billion-dollar conglomerates that have done absolutely fine in transitioning their entire business to people working from home. I think that people enjoy working from home as well, having the flexibility and the comfort of working in their house or their home office. So I think that that's probably going to stay. In most cases, I could see businesses offering the option that you can stay at home and work if you'd like and be just as productive as if you were coming to the office. So I'm looking at a lot of technologies based around telecommunication. Robotics is going to be huge for manufacturing. We have to create better systems and get our costs down to start manufacturing things in the US again, especially if we're concerned with social distancing. Use of technology and robotics is going to be massive. AI is huge. Artificial intelligence, that's something that's here to stay, and I think that's going to be the future. Now, I'm the type of person that has no technology background. It was an accomplishment just to set up my Wi-Fi, but I'm forcing myself to start learning about technology because it is going to be extremely imperative to understand them in order to make investments moving forward. I don't think it's just going to be the worlds of the Google and the Facebook and the Amazon anymore. There's going to be a lot of biotech companies, a lot of technology companies that are going to be solving real problems, making us more efficient, cutting costs as we transition into the new world post-COVID. Another market that I see is really interesting, finally again, is the real estate market. Over the past several years, the market has become incredibly saturated. Everyone's been trying to buy properties. Times have been so good that I honestly cut down a lot on my real estate investments just because I try to go where other people aren't. We're at a period now where it's unfortunate truth that people are going to be struggling with their properties, whether it be to make payments, tenants not paying rent, not being able to finish their construction. A lot of people were over leveraged, buying tons and tons of property with debt at very high interest rates. A lot of investors focused on almost paying retail prices just to get more and more properties, especially institutions. So what I see moving forward is a lot of people that are going to need to unload property. It's very unfortunate for them. I never wish harm on anyone. But it's our job as an investor to find opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities. So I can assume that a lot of people will be motivated to sell their properties, and we're going to be in a marketplace where not a lot of people have access to cash. So if you have access to funds, if you can finance properties or invest in I like single family houses right now as opposed to large apartment buildings, just because the market is so much greater for that to sell. If you do need to sell, or if things get worse, or if you yourself have some financial hardships, the market of buyers for a single family house, a 3-bedroom house in Pittsburgh, or a 2-bedroom house in Westmoreland County is so much higher than the buyers looking for a 10-unit apartment building, right? So finding ways to purchase those distressed properties or discounted properties is going to be a huge opportunity here in the coming months. I know a lot of people like the idea of real estate, but they have no construction background, they have no contacts, they have no way of really starting into the business, which is fine. There's other ways that you can enter the real estate market, and one right now that is extremely needed is financing properties and financing projects. As I said before, banks have really cut back on their lending. They're lending at smaller percentages of the house value, of the appraised value. So there's a market for extremely experienced investors out there that have $5-10 million worth of property. They have construction teams working for them. They're looking to continue moving forward, but it's just really hard to get the financing because so many people have scaled back in fear that they're afraid to continue lending, or a lot of banks are unfortunately getting hurt right now because of a lot of businesses and other landlords or other homeowners that are in forbearance or not going to be able to make their payments. So right now, there's a great market for people looking to finance investment properties. These are sophisticated borrowers that are willing to pay 10, 12, 13% interest even on projects. It's normally short term, somewhere between 6 to 12 months that the funds would be tied up. The other thing is a lot of people have stopped buying, which is a great opportunity for investors because it's really hard to get deals through the pipeline. If you need appraisals, if you need inspections, if you need dye tests, all these things that generally happen on real estate transactions, a lot of, at least in Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, our city's kind of shut down as far as that goes. So what's nice is with off-market projects and investment properties, you could buy straight cash. You don't have to worry about appraisals. You don't have to worry about inspections. They buy as is. So we could still get these deals through, generally speaking, in certain areas of the city. So these projects are still happening, people are still buying them, and they're looking for financing. So this is a great way that if you don't want to get your hands dirty and actually buy the property yourself, you can fund those deals for the experts and the specialists and still get paid a really nice monthly interest, essentially just for lending short term on those deals. The last place that I'm going to be looking for is actually investing in small businesses. As many of you know, that is my long-term goal, is to own a holding company of maybe 20 to 30 businesses that I own a stake in, or the entire company. And right now, unfortunately, with a lot of the shutdowns and people not actually receiving the financing they need, people are going to be hurting, and they're going to need access to capital. If you can bring other resources to the table, maybe you have a marketing background, or you have a very large network, or you have a financial background, or other assets as a partner that'll make sense, this is going to be a great time that you can actually assist struggling businesses, and also them probably be willing to give up equity in order to survive. Not to say to take advantage of businesses, But if an opportunity arises that you can own a stake in a great local company that you know will have the ability to bounce back, they just need funding to get them, through the next 3 to 6 months, or maybe they need some additional resources that you could bring to the table. This is a great time that we can actually look into taking equity stakes in local businesses. It is obviously a more illiquid market, meaning you can't click a button and cash out of your shares of ABC Lumber Liquidators or the restaurant down the street or the bar across the street, as opposed to the stock market. But you'll have access to really build wealth with local communities and businesses in your area, which I'm a huge fan of. And you also can help in the management a lot of times, as opposed to buying individual stocks where you don't hold any liability and you don't take part in any of the management. You're simply just giving a company money and saying, hey, do your thing. So buying businesses or taking stakes in businesses is going to be something that I think will be prevalent in the upcoming months as businesses are really looking for financing and resources to keep the doors open. So I hope this was helpful. As always, there is an opportunity to invest in any market. You just got to find it. You can't use your emotions. If you're scared or if you have the desire of greed and desire of gain, those are where you'll get burned. So always think logically, be independent in your thinking when it comes to investing. Don't go based off of what someone on Yahoo Finance is writing in an article. Make your own decisions and look into the finances. Always consider any risks that come along with these investments and make sure to do your homework. And if you haven't already, go ahead and visit thepittsburghinvestor.com, where I do help businesses all around the city and in different states build their business and help them invest. So as always, invest in you, stay safe.